Cedar Creek Township Board to order on Tuesday, August 9th at 6 o'clock p.m. We're meeting at the Cedar Creek Township Hall. The meeting will be placed on our website, usually within the next business day. Let's see, Cole, will you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, you will have two opportunities to address the board. One is for anything that, I didn't bring my agenda in. So,
Here.
I didn't bring my own board packet in, so I'll have to get one. Anything, it's right on my desk there. One is for anything that appears on the agenda, and then later on, anything that is, thank you very much, Lorraine, anything that appears of interest to you regarding Cedar Creek Township. Each item is, each time you address the board, it is for 2 minutes. So thank you. We have Clerk Skinner is not with us. He's on vacation. So we have two people who will be helping us tonight. Cheryl Sloan is the Deputy Supervisor, and she is going to sit in for Clerk Skinner. And she's going to take his place. And we have Jamie Bidwell, who is Chuck's deputy clerk, and she's going to be taking the minutes. So thank you both for helping us out this evening. Cheryl, if you would please call the roll.
Okay. Supervisor Arts?
Here.
Treasurer Jarvis? Here. Trustee Wright?
Here.
Thank you.
And Clerk Skinner, of course, is excused. I have the agenda, but I have two additions, and I apologize for that. One addition came to us late, and one I unfortunately left off. So one is in front of you. It's the addition of the request from Morgan Carroll regarding the broadband study in Muskegon County. And the other is the ordinance amendment to readopt the regulatory ordinance and amend the fire ordinance. So may I please have a motion to approve the agenda with those two additions?
I'll make the motion.
I'll support.
Does anyone have any questions or concerns?
Are those both placed under new business?
They are both new, under new items,
Okay.
new business.
Okay.
I need, let's see, so we have a motion and support. Voice vote on that, please, Cheryl.
Okay. Supervisor Arts?
Yes.
Treasurer Jarvis?
Yes.
Trustee Wright?
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you. Also then, the next item is you received a hard copy of the minutes from July 12 for your review. May I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make the motion with looking back down on disbursements.
Okay.
There was a motion to pay regular monthly bills. There was no support. Didn't we have to have
There, I noticed that as well. I did notice
I'm
that
sure
as well.
that we had
Yeah.
support.
I
and
know
I
we
did not-
voted on it unanimous, but
Yes,
I
yes.
just wanted to bring that up.
Okay. If we could, Cheryl, if you could make note of that, and we'll have to go into the video and look for that second on that.
I may have written it in my notes. I can look too. I
Okay.
usually write those down also.
If we could then make note of that, correct that, and if I could have, I need a support on that.
I will support, and I also have one other
Okay.
correction. Under the school resource officer presentation, the motion was made to allow Cedar Creek to enter into contract negotiations with Muskegon County Sheriff's Department Fulton Public Schools, Blue Lake Township, and Dalton Township is listed there, and they're not
They're
part of
not
it.
part of
So
that, yeah.
We want to remove Dalton Township from that motion.
Any other concerns?
Nope.
All right. If we could have a motion to approve with those edits.
Did you want to
Aye.
postpone?
Huh?
He made a motion.
Motion,
and I
okay,
supported
so,
it.
all right.
And they
Motion and
said their
support.
changes.
With those, yeah, with those changes, so we're good with those changes.
Yes.
All right. Then, just voice vote.
Voice vote, okay. Supervisor Arts?
Yes,
Treasurer Jarvis?
Yes.
Trustee Wright?
Yes.
Thank you.
motion carries. Thank you. All right, next on the agenda is disbursements.
Treasurer's report.
Oh, I'm sorry, skip.
Don't skip me, Linda.
I won't, I'm sorry. But I should put my glasses on and make it a lot easier.
Our July 1st, 2022 general fund beginning balance was $1,517,065.60. Total revenues were $21,676.92. Total expenditures were $118,360.28, leaving an ending balance of $1,420,607.63. And just FYI, the fire contracts were paid this month. That's why our expenditures seem a little high.
Thank you, Heather. Heather put together a lot for us on this. I did not have any additional questions for Heather on
did
this
not.
report, so.
I had none.
Okay, thank you. Then Heather will place your treasurer's report on file. Thank you very much. Now we'll move on to disbursements. Do you have anything for us, Cheryl?
Nothing other than the usual.
Okay, all right. May I have a motion to pay the regular bills then?
I'll make that motion.
I will support.
All right, anyone have any questions or anything on this? All right, then since we're spending money, may I have a roll call vote on this, please?
Supervisor Arts?
Yes.
Treasurer Jarvis?
Yes.
Trustee Wright?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, motion carries. Correspondence. Cheryl, do you have anything for us?
No correspondence at this time.
Anyone else on the board? I do not have anything either. All right, public comments. Public comments going twice. Agenda items, public comments going 3 times. All right. Then our first item is Eric from Brickley DeLong. Eric has been with us a long time, and we trust him implicitly.
How about a long time?
Yeah,
I've been around for years.
well, I take that back. I've known Eric a long
Yes,
time.
you and I go back.
Eric is going to present us with a brief overview of his firm was with us for 3 days, I believe.
2 days.
2 days. Oh,
Well, it felt like 3 days,
It
I
felt
know.
like 3 days.
It was just terrible,
When you're on this end, it feels like 3 days.
Oh, we appreciate everything you guys do, so. All right, well, I'm just here to give a brief synopsis. I had a hunch we were gonna have technology things going on, plus I was coming not from the office, so I didn't have my projector with me anyway, so I gave you guys printed out copies this year instead of doing a little PDF on the screen. But we'll do our usual little move through this. As always, that front page there is the excerpt from the Independent Auditors report, where we say, in our opinion, the financial statements referred to above present fairly in all material respects. The various financial statements for the year then ended in accordance with accounting principles generally accepted in the United States of America. Same long run-on sentence, but basically it means what it says. We believe your financial statements are materially correct in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. So it's called an unmodified opinion, which is the highest we can give and the one you've normally received. So that's really exciting stuff. Let's talk about numbers. That's a little more exciting. So the next page on that little thing I passed out is the summary of the general fund. If you want to see the general fund in more detail, it's on page 28, broken out by department, but I've got it summarized here on one page. For subtotal there, total revenues is $772,254. That's an increase of about $10,000 from last year. Just to talk about some of the changes, property tax revenues of $222,000, they're up about $6,000 with taxable value increasing. Licenses and permits of $93,000 are up about $8,000 due to continued building in the community, which is good. Intergovernmental revenues state are up by about $15,000 due to an increase in revenue sharing, offset by some grants received in the previous year, which did not recur in the current year. Charges for services are $81,000, or down about $19,000, as there were a number of lot cleanups and some other things going on in the previous year. So anyway, that all nets to a $10,000 increase. Total expenditures is $762,201, an increase of about $134,000. The bulk of that change is on the public works line, and that does tend to be where the most fluctuation is, which really comes down to is the amount of road projects you did, if any. And you guys had a couple bigger ones on Brickyard Road and Crocker Road this year, so that $140,000 increase accounts for most of the bump up. There's some other minor changes. Legal fees are up a little bit. Election expenditures were down because this wasn't an state election year. And on the bottom there, you can see capital outlay of about $37,000 with some minor township hall improvements, computers, well irrigation, and a few other things. So overall, you've got an increase in fund balance of $10,053, an ending fund balance of about $1.1 million. So you're able to do what you wanted to do, get some road work done, take care of a few capital items, and still put a few cookies in the cookie jar. So good year for the general fund at the township. Any questions here? Okay, and the next page is even more exciting. This is your road improvement fund, and there really isn't anything to talk about here. You guys have used this to finance projects, a couple projects in the past where you've got assessments. There were no new assessments or no new projects being funded by assessments this year, so you just got the collections coming in from prior year assessments. About $11,500 comes in each year, and fund balance ended the year at about $29,000. So this will continue to grow, and as the assessments are collected, and I know the intent was to have some money set aside for seed money for future projects, and that is how this fund is working. So, okay, that's it for the financial statements. I have a couple other things to talk about, but any questions on the actual financial statements? Anything I talked about or perhaps didn't talk about that you're curious about?
I have none.
Okay. In that case, you guys also should have a couple of letters that came along with the financial statements. We provide a couple letters each year. The one letter you've got is the letter that starts off with in planning and performing our audit of the financial statements. This is our recommendation letter. As a reminder, we're not here to audit your internal controls or express an opinion on them. We're here to audit your financial statements. However, in the course of doing an audit, we obtain an understanding of your internal controls to plan and perform our procedures. And in the course of doing that and just conducting the audit, if we come across items that we think are significant that we want to communicate, we issue a recommendation letter. I definitely want to emphasize we're not saying this is everything that needs to be fixed at the township. These are just the items we came across. There could certainly be other items that we did not, because we weren't here looking for these items. These are just things we came across. So, as I always say, the most important thing is to have good policies, procedures, and controls in place throughout the year to make sure that things are done correctly. And we just had a couple of recommendations this year. I know you guys have had more in the past. Generally, I bring up recommendations and you act on them, which is great. Just a couple here, just continue to work on improving year-end financial statement closing procedures to reduce the number of audit adjustments. I often joke year-end closing is the hardest thing to learn because you only get to do it once a year. So just as you guys continue to work on that to reduce the amount of adjustments. And the other one is just a common comment for most smaller entities regarding the preparation of financial statements. We draft them as part of the audit. However, they're still your content. They're your footnotes, your numbers, your disclosures, your responsibility. The only thing in here that really comes from us is that opinion letter. And you should have controls in place surrounding the preparation. And most smaller entities don't have a CPA type person available that is familiar with what goes into the footnotes and all that, so we have to give that comment, which is a little silly in my opinion, but that's the rules. However, I would definitely emphasize we're not saying that you guys are totally clueless and have no idea what's going on. Quite the contrary. I know you guys went through this in detail, asked a lot of questions. I think you feel pretty good about the numbers. Just somehow some of those footnotes are laid out. So we give the silly comment, and when life goes on, don't worry about that one. And then the other one is our letter to those charged with governance, and this is just a required communication that we have to give every year, every audit. The AICPA says certain things have to be put in writing, so even though I show up with my smiling face every year to give a presentation, I still have to write it down. So there's just some very specific things that go in this letter. So if there were any new accounting principles adopted, we would note that. There weren't any significant ones this year. If there were any difficulties encountered performing the audit, we would note that. There were not any. We talk about significant estimates, the fact that we looked at them to believe they're reasonable. If there are any disagreements with management on accounting or auditing principles, we would note that. Again, there weren't any. You guys provided us a representation letter at the end of the audit asserting that you fully disclosed everything. And then there's some discussion on some of the audit adjustments that we made. And that is pretty much it. So I wouldn't really worry about this too much. It's just letting you know what it is and why you have it. I certainly think there's more content and things of value in financial statements themselves. So I'm at the end of my presentation. Final chance for questions. Okay. Well, I definitely want to say thanks. The audit went pretty smooth. I know Chuck just kind of jumped right in there. Heather and Linda, it's old hat to you guys, but we certainly appreciate everything that you guys do to get ready for the audit. I know you guys take your financial condition and records and seriously, and we appreciate that and everything it takes to get ready for us to come out here. So thanks again, and we look forward to seeing you next year.
Thank you very much. We take this very seriously at Cedar Creek Township. So, and one of the reasons that we do policies and procedures is because of working with Eric. So, and Heather's really good at what she does. So, it is scary when you're sitting on this end, and you know we're not going to lie about that, because as hard as we work at what we do, when you sit at this end and somebody is picking through your checkbook, and so to speak, and looking at everything you do, we pride ourselves on transparency here. But when I wasn't joking when I was joking when I said 3 days. They were here for 2 days, but it does feel like 3 days when they're combing through everything that you do. And I think it was last month I talked about having to work through and knowing that your auditors are looking at every single thing that you do in as much as they can.
Yeah.
And we work very hard at making sure that we present all of what we do to anyone who asks. So we're right here. If you wanted to know what we do, you're welcome to come in there and look at our books. So
I definitely want to emphasize we can't look at everything.
well,
One, Murphy's Law says if something went wrong, we'll probably stumble across it. So.
Yeah, exactly. And when they ask for something, like one of the things that they did ask for this year was they wanted a little bit more transparency on timesheets. And so we provided that information for them. So we did it right away. So anyway, that's it in a nutshell for us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Eric. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Eric.
All right, next on the agenda would be the appointment of our ZBA members. Last month, the board voted to approve expanding the Zoning Board of Appeal from 3 members to 5-member board. The 2 people we are recommending are Fred Assink for a term expiring on 12/25 and Ron Arts for a term expiring on 12/24. May I please have a motion to approve Fred Assink to the ZBA with a term expiring on 12/25 and Ron Arts to the ZBA with a term expiring on 12/24. They have to have rotating terms, which is why.
I'll make that motion.
Okay.
I'll support.
All right. Are there any questions or discussions? Discussion on that motion? Cheryl, may I have a voice vote on this, please?
Supervisor Arts?
Yes.
Treasurer Jarvis?
Yes.
Trustee Wright?
Yes.
Motion carries. All right, and next on this is, on our agenda is some update information on playground equipment from Heather.
So this morning, my deputy Cindy and I were able to meet with Jeremy Boseman from Sinclair. He came highly recommended from Holton Public Schools and also the Village of Fruitport. I know Laketon Township has used their Sinclair on their playgrounds. I haven't talked to them, but I will. The addition of playground equipment has been a long-term goal of the Parks and Rec Committee. We want to provide a safe and fun place for all children to play. We showed Jeremy our Cedar Creek Township Park plan, and we also gave him a tour of our park. He was a wealth of information. He informed us that there is a fall grant program from the equipment manufacturer that they use, which is Game Time. The grant is for municipalities that are either replacing equipment or adding equipment for the first time. So Cedar Creek will be a perfect applicant for the grant. He actually used the words slam dunk. The program is open now through November 1st, and it is 100% matching funds for the structure. The township would be responsible for the full cost of installation, surface material, and freight, but this means that we could potentially purchase an $80,000 piece of equipment at a cost of only $40,000 for the township. So he is going to send us more information, and Linda and I are going to write a grant. And Linda, I mean, she's gotten every grant she's applied for, so I'm really excited. We have not chosen a structure yet. We're just getting started, but we're going to look for something that will be of the most benefit to our community and that children of all ages and abilities can enjoy. I also found out that this company does pavilions, and I believe they can also do walking trails. So we could potentially have our entire park program, a playground, a pavilion, and a walking trail in one project if we want to use our ARPA funds. And we will also, of course, apply for the grant. Just an FYI, this year we budgeted $45,000 for Parks and Rec capital outlay. We also have $346,979.64 in ARPA funds that could potentially be used for this project.
Minus the chairs, right?
I already took the chairs out. I was on it, yeah. So we will be getting the Parks and Rec Committee together again soon to continue planning this. So, exciting news.
That is exciting news, and as Heather indicated, we have been talking about this for so long that I did ask that she start focusing on this so we could move forward. And we are ready. We're chomping at the bit to get some playground equipment out there. And so let's move forward.
Yep.
Thank you, Heather.
You're welcome.
Next on the agenda would be the MOCAP food program, which is Muskegon Oceanic Community Action Partnerships. And this is information only, but Cedar Creek Township will be hosting an income-based food program at the Township Hall on September 26th in the morning. We'll have more information on this as it becomes available, but again, this is income-based, and there will be perishable items in the food boxes. So we are requesting that families who are able to sign up for this do so, and Andy is going to be working with me on this so we can get more word out on this. We're going to put it on our Facebook page, and it's important. We need people to sign up. I think we're just going to have like a 2-hour window or so because the food is perishable and we don't have refrigeration here in the Township Hall for that large of a food program. MOCAP will be delivering the boxes here. We don't have to go get them ourselves this time. So I think it's exciting that we're going to be once again caring for the needs of the people here in our township. Again, that's Monday, September 26th in the morning. So thank you for that. I'm really excited to have that happen again. And once again, I don't think I actually, Lorraine put this on our Lorraine's been working really hard on this, and I really want to thank her for this. It's the, we've talked at great length about the fire ordinance and adding the consumers down wire to our fire ordinance, because there have been missed opportunities to be able to bill consumers when the fire trucks have had to come, and if someone were to knock a utility line down and the fire trucks have had to come, that means we get billed for that and not consumers. So I asked Lorraine if she would please add that consumers, and she worked on getting appropriate language added, and that's part of the packet that you see before you. She also, and this is part of an ordinance to readopt the entire regulatory ordinance, and it also creates a table of contents and chapters for all regulatory ordinances. And it cleans it up for ease in finding and referencing in legal matters. So Lorraine has been really, every time she's had to go to court, she's had the book with her. So she's been okay, but now she can reference all the chapters right there. She's really worked hard at cleaning things up, so I applaud her for this. So what I'm asking is to have a motion to adopt ordinance number 2022-7, which is the entire packet that you have before you.
I'll make that motion.
I'll support.
Are there any questions? Cheryl, may I have a voice vote on this?
Supervisor Arts?
Yes.
Trustee Jarvis?
Yes.
I'm sorry, Treasurer Jarvis? Trustee Wright?
Yes. I thought you were gonna call me treasurer.
And that motion carries then. And again, I would like to thank you for all that work that you have done on this. So thank you so much. Also, the one other thing that you have in your packet is from Morgan Carroll. And this is a county-wide broadband study. And early on this year, and I think maybe it even started last year, I was sitting in on some studies by a number of people in our county about the lack of broadband coverage in the county in general. And even with respect to, they talked about the city itself, how the city was lacking in broadband coverage. And what it resulted in was the fact that they needed a study to show just how lacking the county is in what areas in particular we are lacking, right down to the particular properties. So they're doing a study that shows where these areas are that they're lacking. So Morgan had the amount of this study is going to be $132,000, or this study that they're doing, and they're asking the municipalities and businesses to chip in the amount of $5,000 apiece. And while no one wants to spend that money, we would be remiss if we didn't, because we all know that Cedar Creek Township is sorely lacking in broadband services. I took a phone call the other day, and I had to, from a real estate agent, and I had to talk about, she brought it up, about a young couple moving here and the impact of not having broadband services in this particular area. And so we discussed that at considerable length. So what I'm asking for is a motion to before I ask that, one of the things that I brought up in this particular committee meeting was that Cedar Creek, many of the people in Cedar Creek Township do not have computers, or won't respond via computers. So I said we would need to provide a mailing list where we would send the survey to the individuals rather than have it go to our residents via computer, because I didn't think they would get the kind of response that they needed to our residents. We have a large percentage of our citizens that are of an older age that may not respond via computer and would be more likely to respond via written survey than they would via computer. And I would also, in this case, ask to work with Andy via Facebook so we could do something, we attack it on multiple levels. So with that then, I would ask for a motion for a $5,000.
I'll make that motion.
Okay,
I will support.
all right. Any questions or concerns?
I just think if you can, I read here that the plan is for them to, they're gonna work with equalization and create a GIS map that is gonna show parcel by parcel where service is and where it isn't.
Correct.
And she also stated that the state requires that data in order to provide funding. So
That's correct.
kind of an underscore how important it is to do the study.
Yeah.
It kind of hurts to spend $5,000, but we really need to.
Yeah.
We need better internet out here, so.
Yeah, I mean, Heather's been begging and pleading for internet at her house. And the only reason I got internet is because my next door neighbor paid huge dollars to get Comcast. And because he did, I was able to get it. So,
And I'm 300 feet away and I can't get it.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, which
Yeah.
is why that parcel by
Crazy.
parcel is gonna be
Yeah.
very helpful.
yeah. So.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so that, it just goes to show the inequities of what's happening out here. So, I mean, it really doesn't work. It doesn't work.
No.
So, okay, Cheryl, if we could have a voice vote on this.
Okay, Supervisor Arts?
Yes,
Treasurer Jarvis?
Yes.
Trustee Wright?
Yes.
Thank you.
motion carries. Thank you very much. All right, now we're moving on to unfinished business. This is a status of the ORV. Once again, Lorraine has written registered letters to all municipalities within the county of Muskegon announcing Cedar Creek's intent to have an ORV ordinance. And she's received a sizable number of them acknowledgements back. The public hearing for the ORV ordinance will be on Tuesday, September 6th at our regular board meeting. Should the ordinance pass, an announcement will go to the newspaper on the following Sunday, and the ordinance will be effective 30 days later. Lorraine, do you have anything else to add to that?
Nope, that covers it.
Okay, thank you. All right. The next item is Trustee Foster update. Trustee Foster officially resigned on July 15. The board held a special meeting to accept her resignation on August 1st, at which time we also moved to withdraw the township lawsuit against her. The position of trustee must be filled within 45 days of the date, I believe, that we accepted her resignation. And then moving on to the school resource officer. Superintendent Bain and Captain Brown are working on a contract. I spoke with Superintendent Bain today. He is also looking into a grant for the school resource officer. The process is moving along. It's a little bit slower than we'd like it to be, but that is due to a conflicting time of the fiscal years. Supervisor Arbogast of Blue Lake Township and I are also in regular communication, and we are all ready to meet as soon as more details are finalized. And moving on next to, anyone have any questions? You can stop.
No, keep going.
Muskegon River Watershed Assembly, Maple River update. After several years of planning, public outreach, and scientific study, the Muskegon River Watershed Assembly and the Little River Band of Ottawa Indians announced 2 important funding initiatives in support of the Maple River Restoration Project. The partnership announced the acceptance of the United States Army Corps of Engineers of the Little River Band of Ottawa Indians as a non-federal sponsor for the hydrological study needed in the Maple River project boundary, including complete federal funding of the study, which is great news. Additionally, significant funding for the physical restoration of critical privately owned riverbank component in the project was also received by the Maple River Watershed Assembly. This is all a mouthful, so. These 2 important funding sources mark the beginning of comprehensive restoration study of the Maple River. The results from the Corps' study to be received in 2023 will provide property owners along the Maple River with real confidence when choosing the best outcomes. The Maple River has been a real challenge for many of our area residents and farmers for well over a century. Solutions may soon be at hand for these people. For those interested, Maple River stakeholders, Muskegon River Watershed is hosting an event on Tuesday, September 13, from 5 to 8 p.m. at the 7 Mile Inn near the Maple River area. Discover Maple River is free to Bridgeton and Cedar Creek Township stakeholders, but seating is limited and reservations are required. The event includes dinner, live music, and a cash bar. To register, go to mrwa.org at Discover Maple River Event. So that's really exciting news for our stakeholders along the Maple River. For any of those of you who were part of that event that we held here at Cedar Creek Township, we witnessed people who broke down into tears. So it's all moving forward, and this is truly a significant, monumental event for them, for all of us. And that means money coming into Cedar Creek Township. So, board comments.
I do have one. September 17th, we have our tire collection from 8 to 1. Anybody that got tires laying around, get rid of them, bring them down. I believe we're having 3 trailers.
Three
Three trailers. So, and we normally fill 3 trailers. So actually sometimes 3.5. But, so I just wanted people to know. And I know we got a banner somewhere. It must be in the basement.
It's right there on the back wall, ready to be put up. So
Okay,
we just
we'll
have
get it
to,
up.
we have to
We'll
change
get it-
the date.
Okay.
And like strong young men like Cole right there.
What am I getting roped into?
Won't need a ladder.
The tire drive on September 17th. You look like
We're
you-
looking for volunteers.
Yeah, you look like you could throw a tire to me.
I'll look and see what my schedule looks like.
Okay, all right. I am truly, that's my board comment. I need tire throwers.
Heather was probably one of the best we had
I can do
in the
it.
last one.
Yeah, there's an art to weaving a tire.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all the way up.
Yeah, we got so we could, I can't weave a tire, I have to tell you. My tire weaving days are over. but.
No, we need to find some younger
Yeah, yeah,
guys that can help. but
yeah.
We'll get up there
I'm
if
in
we have
therapy
to.
for weaving
Yeah.
tires. So,
We'll get up there if we have to.
yeah, but young people can, they can, if you don't know how to weave, Heather will teach you. So, so, and just a little fun fact, it takes over 100 years for a tire to decompose in our environment. So get those tires out of the woods. Bring them to our township hall. So, Heather?
No comments other than to beg for volunteers for the tire drive.
Brian, what are you doing the 17th?
We are not beyond begging.
No,
No.
we will beg, and there's always donuts and
Water.
snacks and
We might
good
even
company.
have, we
Pizza.
might even have pizza this year, yeah, yeah. I'm not.
We've
we're-
had pizza in the past.
Yeah, we've had pizza.
Yeah.
We're good with donuts and pizza.
Yep, yep.
To heck with good food, healthy food. Okay, public comments. Brian, I'm sure you have someplace else you want to go. Brian Hostica.
Thank you. Maybe I will be here for the tire. What day is it again?
Saturday, September
September
17th.
Okay, I'll talk to you. Yeah. Good evening, everyone. It's nice to see a township meeting so well attended. I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Brian Hostica. I'm the Democratic candidate for the new 102nd District for the State House, which includes where we are right now. I was born in Shelby. I was raised in Whitehall. I'm a graduate of Whitehall Public Schools. I have two kids. They're 21 and 19, a boy and a girl, and they're graduates of Whitehall Public Schools. My parents owned Dog and Suds in Montague for about 40 years. I grew up from a young age working there, which I didn't much appreciate at the time, but I've learned to appreciate it. And I've also been a small business owner. I owned and operated Dairy Treat on Colby Street in Whitehall for about 10 years. Right now, I'm a public defender in Muskegon County. Before that, I was a prosecutor for quite a few years. So I know the criminal justice system pretty well. And as a prosecutor, I'm a member of the Fraternal Order of Police, and I'm the vice president of the White Lake Community Library. And I hope to have your support. I have some cards here. May I put them over here? I won't get into any issues, but if you have questions or would like to do some looking into how I stand on any issues, you can find the information on one of these sources. There's also a phone number on here. I'd love to talk to you if anyone would like to discuss anything. Please give me a call. I might not answer right away, but if you leave me a message, I'll promise I'll call you back. And for resources to really find out where I stand on some issues, if you Facebook, it's Brian Hostica for State Representative, and there's lots of information on there. Okay?
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brian. Appreciate
Everybody have a
it.
good night.
Thanks. Anyone else? Call.
So a comment that I wanted to make about the broadband study for the county, especially where I live along Cedar Creek, we don't get cell service out there, and we do not have internet access at all.
I'm with you, buddy.
Yeah, so, and right now, my stepmom's trying to start a business out of the house, which she's having a lot of troubles with, because even trying to get a connection with satellite internet's been horrendous. So there's tax income from businesses that are, online. My younger brother is homeschooled and trying to do that, especially post-COVID. Students who, they need internet access to do their schoolwork, and they can't do it because they don't have the internet access.
Mm-hmm.
It'll also raise property values because a lot of people will get discouraged by the lack of the internet, which will help kind of soften the cost of the study and all that over the long term. And also with allowing for an extension of the broadband and all that, EMS services, it'll be easier to contact, and you'll be able to communicate more of their issues instead of trying to hold your phone up, get the right signal, and spending, in some cases, precious minutes. And then, like what was brought up earlier about the cost to have the company come out on an individual basis is prohibitive. It's egregious how much that they want to come out and do it just for one house.
Oh, yes.
So to be able to do it and disperse the cost, it's kind of why we're a community. We're here to help each other out. And then for the Maple River Watershed,
Mhm.
what all were some of the issues? Were they like flooding issues? Were they erosion issues?
Both.
Both? Okay. So,
It was huge, it's huge, and it's over a century this has been going on.
okay. Will there be more in-depth discussion on
Yeah.
what else can be implemented?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yeah. There'll be, I'm sending Andy a press release, so there'll be a press release of what's going out, and you can find out a little bit more about it on Maple River Watershed Assembly. So
Okay.
they'll have more information out there.
All right. Thank you so much.
It's Muskegon River Watershed Assembly, I'm sorry, I misspoke.
All right. Thank you.
I would like to point out that you are absolutely on target about the every point that you made on broadband, and normally I wouldn't respond, but I just do want to say, we opened up the Township Hall, the grounds, so anyone can come and has free access to, in our parking lot, and the password is Homeworks. Homework, yeah, thank you. So if you don't have access at home, you just need to park in the parking lot here, and you can log in at any time.
Thank
So
you.
day or night, 24 hours a day. So it's free access, and we did that during the pandemic, and we never shut it down. So it's because we realized that people do not have access. And we did it for healthcare reasons as well as homework reasons. And we recognize, we see people in our parking lot all the time making access of that. So, anyone else? Yes, B.
Hi, I'm Beatrice Kulovitz from 6221 Ryerson. Actually, I live on Miller, but that's the address. But yes, I also wanted to thank you for joining and approving the cost of the countywide broadband study. And the federal government is very aware of what's happening because they want businesses and they want employment for people. And they know that if you don't get internet and phone, even phone service sometimes you can't hardly get, that it's very frustrating. My husband's sister lives in the boonies by Lake Leelanau, and she can't call me on my phone, but she can call my husband on his. It's the weirdest thing. She called one day just sobbing because she couldn't get internet, she couldn't get phone. I mean, she finally did to call us and cry, but it's a definite need, and the federal government is aware, and they hope to do something about that too. So people know we're here. Thank you. Thank you very much.
I appreciate the comment. Anyone else? Going twice. Anyone else? Going 3 times. I'd like a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Support.
Meeting is adjourned at 6:58.